SEARCA Emergency Response Protocol. Emergency response in the event of an earthquake. Drop, cover and hold procedure. SEARCA HQ evacuation areas and routes. During the earthquake, security will activate the alarm. Remember, drop, duck, cover, and hold. After the earthquake, walk calmly to the evacuation areas, the growth monument open area or the open parking area. Follow the evacuation routes from your location and proceed safely outside. Please note floor marshals will guide individuals along the designated evacuation routes and ensure that everyone gathers at the identified evacuation areas. SEARCA Residence Hotel Evacuation Area and Routes. During the earthquake, security will activate the alarm. Drop, duck, cover, and hold. After the earthquake, walk calmly to the designated evacuation area, the side open parking area. Follow the evacuation routes from your location and proceed safely outside. Head count, search, and rescue. The head marshal will facilitate the head count at the evacuation area. Floor marshals will report per floor. If someone is unaccounted for, the safety committee will begin search and rescue. Minor injuries will be taken to UPLB Health Service or nearby hospitals using SEARCA vehicles. Facility assessment and return. The safety committee will inspect the building for damage. If no issues are found, the head marshal will declare it safe for re-entry. If structural problems are detected, the crisis management team will designate an alternate facility for business continuity. Emergency response in case of fire. In case of fire, the security team or safety committee will activate the alarm. An announcement will be made through the PABX system to guide evacuation. The head marshal will notify the university police force and local fire stations. Small fire extinguishing. Fire extinguishers are located inside the building. If the fire is beyond control, do not attempt to extinguish, evacuate immediately. To use a fire extinguisher, remember pass. Pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the handle, and sweep side to side. Please note, fire extinguishers are located inside the building and are maintained by the safety committee. SEARCA Emergency Response Protocol. Emergency response in the event of an earthquake. Drop, cover and hold procedure. SEARCA HQ evacuation areas and routes. During the earthquake, security will activate the alarm. Remember, drop, duck, cover, and hold. After the earthquake, walk calmly to the evacuation areas, the growth monument open area or the open parking area. Follow the evacuation routes from your location and proceed safely outside. Please note floor marshals will guide individuals along the designated evacuation routes and ensure that everyone gathers at the identified evacuation areas. SEARCA Residence Hotel Evacuation Area and Routes. During the earthquake, security will activate the alarm. Drop, duck, cover, and hold. After the earthquake, walk calmly to the designated evacuation area, the side open parking area. Follow the evacuation routes from your location and proceed safely outside. Head count, search, and rescue. The head marshal will facilitate the head count at the evacuation area. Floor marshals will report per floor. If someone is unaccounted for, the safety committee will begin search and rescue. Minor injuries will be taken to UPLB Health Service or nearby hospitals using SEARCA vehicles. Facility assessment and return. The safety committee will inspect the building for damage. If no issues are found, the head marshal will declare it safe for re-entry. If structural problems are detected, the crisis management team will designate an alternate facility for business continuity. Emergency response in case of fire. In case of fire, the security team or safety committee will activate the alarm. An announcement will be made through the PABX system to guide evacuation. The head marshal will notify the university police force and local fire stations. Small fire extinguishing. Fire extinguishers are located inside the building. If the fire is beyond control, do not attempt to extinguish, evacuate immediately. To use a fire extinguisher, remember pass. Pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the handle, and sweep side to side. Please note, fire extinguishers are located inside the building and are maintained by the safety committee.
pleasant good morning to our distinguished guests and members of their diplomatic team, heads and representatives of the agencies of the Los Baños Science Community, Chancellor Camacho, partners from government and the private sector, the academe, including faculty and students, SEARCA staff, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to the second session of SEARCA's newest knowledge-sharing platform, the Meet the Diplomat series. This morning is quite meaningful as we are honored to welcome two officials from the Embassy of Spain in Manila, Ms. Silvia Torices de la Varga and Ms. Beatriz Jimeno Ortas. We sincerely thank them and the Embassy of Spain for partnering with SEARCA in this second session of the Meet the Diplomat series. The Meet the Diplomat series, or MDS, is anchored on SEARCA's 12th five-year development plan, Sustainable Transformation of Agricultural Systems through Innovation in Southeast Asia, or Sustained Southeast Asia. Through this initiative, SEARCA provides a strategic platform where foreign policy priorities and regional agricultural and rural development goals can be meaningfully aligned. Before we proceed with our formal program, please allow me to share a few reminders. Kindly ensure that your mobile phones are switched to silent mode. The program will consist of our honorable guest's presentation, followed by an open forum, and we respectfully request everyone to remain seated during the formal proceedings. Thank you very much for your cooperation. So to open this second session of the MDS, may I invite the Center Director of SEARCA, Dr. Mercedes Zumbilya, to deliver her welcome remarks. Let's all welcome Dr. Zumbilya.
Thank you, Nova. Dr. Camacho, Dr. Jose Camacho Jr., Chancellor of the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, and country representative of the Philippines to the CIMEO SEARCA Governing Board, distinguished representatives from the Embassy of Spain in Manila, Ms. Silvia Torices de la Varga, Economic and Commercial Counselor, and Ms. Beatriz Jimeno Ortas, Education Advisor. Colleagues from the Los Baños Science Community Foundation Incorporated, friends from the industry and the academic sectors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, of course, my SEARCA family. Buenos dias, and a warm welcome to SEARCA. It is indeed our distinct honor to convene the second installment of the Meet the Diplomat series, and we are doubly honored to have with us Councilor de la Varga and Ms. Ortas, who graciously accepted the invitation to talk and inspire us on how science and diplomacy can integrate scientific knowledge into international diplomacy to strengthen collective action and promote effective multilateralism to address global challenges and complex cross-border issues that cannot be solved by an individual country working in isolation. Spain and Southeast Asia have unique roles as bridge regions. Spain connects Europe and with Latin America and the Mediterranean, while Southeast Asia anchors the Asia-Pacific, now recognized as the center of gravity for international relations. But Spain's role as a bridge of region extends beyond its neighbors and is greatly felt in our region as well. Spain's Asia-Pacific Strategy 2026 to 2029 emphasizes ecological transition, sustainable growth, and innovation, priorities that mirror the Southeast Asia's urgent need to transform agricultural systems and build resilience. Specifically for the Philippines, Spain's Partnership Framework for Sustainable Development 2025 to 2028 highlights human rights, inclusive economic development, and community empowerment. This strategic cooperation is both tangible and people-centered. For example, through our partnership with FP Empresa, we have contributed to strengthening vocational education and created platforms for knowledge exchange that connect institutions across borders. The embassy's support for cultural diplomacy through Instituto Cervantes enriches our dialogue, reminding us that diplomacy is not only between governments, but between peoples. These initiatives demonstrate that Spain's presence in Philippines and in Manila and the Philippines as a whole is practical, responsive, and aligned with Southeast Asia's transformation agenda. They are also aligned and resonate deeply with SEARCA's mission and the objectives of our 12th five-year development plan, Sustain Southeast Asia, anchored on the 4 Ps: pocket, plate, place, and people. The dialogue we're going to undertake speaks directly to our shared vision. Discussions on agribusiness and economic relations, open pathways to enhance farmers' incomes, that is pocket, strengthen food security and nutrition, that is plate, and build resilience in the face of climate challenges, place. At the same time, our exploration of academic partnership advances our people agenda, empowering the next generation of leaders, researchers, and innovators who will shape the future of agriculture in the region. Indeed, this Meet the Diplomat series is a platform for convergence, where ideas are exchanged, partnerships are further cultivated, and opportunities are realized. By aligning Spain's vision with the Southeast Asia's transformation agenda, we affirm that sustainable development is best achieved through strong and dynamic partnership that transcend borders. Ms. Silvia and Ms. Beatriz, we warmly welcome you to SEARCA and to the UPLB community. Muchas gracias, maraming salamat, and good morning again to everyone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zumbilya, for articulating the strategic importance of this initiative and for reinforcing SEARCA's commitment to strengthening international partnerships through diplomacy and innovation. It is now my pleasure to call on the Deputy Director for Administration of SEARCA, Dr. Rico Angcog, to introduce our distinguished guest speakers for this second session of the MDS.
Good morning to each and every one of you. Truly an honor to introduce our honored guest speakers. We have 2 for this second installment. First is Ms. Silvia Torices de la Varga. She is the Economic and Commercial Counselor and the head of the Economic and Commercial Office of the Embassy of Spain in Manila, a post she has held since September 2021. Born in Leon, that's in Spain, she holds a Master of Science in Economics and Business Administration from the University of Leon and a master's degree on Economics and Development Policy from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and she is a state chartered economist of the Ministry of Economic Affairs of Spain since 2015. From 2018 until 2021, she served as the Planning and Policy Specialist at the Strategy Office of the Asian Development Bank. Prior to this, she worked as Senior Advisor for Multilateral Development Banks at the Ministry of Economic Affairs from 2015 to 2018, and as a Financial Officer at the European Commission in Brussels in 2012 to 2015. Before her work as a civil servant, Ms. Torices de la Varga worked in the private sector as financial consultant for Banco Santander and Unicaja Banco. She has also been teaching at the Center for Economic and Commercial Studies in Madrid. That's our first speaker, Ms. Silvia Torices de la Varga. Our second speaker is Ms. Beatriz Jimeno Ortas. She holds a degree in philosophy and letters from the Autonomous University of Madrid and is a senior secondary school teacher in the Valencian community. Since 2021, she has been serving as technical education advisor at the Embassy of Spain in Manila. Her professional career has always been closely linked to the field of education, to which she has devoted her life with a strong vocation for teaching and a firm commitment to improving educational quality. She has worked in several Spanish educational institutions where she has taken a leadership and coordination responsibilities, actively participating in academic management, pedagogical innovation, and teacher support. These roles have allowed her to gain a broad understanding of the education system and its challenges. Alongside her teaching work, she has consistently been involved in teacher training and has collaborated in educational projects and professional development initiatives aimed at strengthening teaching competencies and promoting the internationalization of education. Again, ladies and gentlemen, our second speaker is Ms. Beatriz Jimeno Ortas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Rico. So may we now invite Ms. Silvia Torices de la Varga to deliver her presentation on stage, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Magandang umaga. Thank you so much for this kind invitation. It's really a pleasure to be here. I have been living in the Philippines for 8 years now. So kind of consider it my second home. My daughter came here when she was 2. My son was born here, so it's kind of home at home too. So I have had the chance of travel around the country for work and for leisure, of course. But I've been able to witness the richness of this country, the possibilities, and it's a pleasure to engage with all sorts of communities, economic, of course, and commercial, but also for education and cultural. It is the way of learning and understanding much better this country and the wide range of opportunities that I truly believe there are for Spanish companies, of course, but for the country itself. I would like, because it's my field, to give a glance of trade and economic relationships between Spain and the Philippines. But yeah, I kind of will put a focus on agricultural sector, what I have experienced or what is my experience in that field here, and what can be done, what is already happening, and lines for working together in the future. Do I have a next slide? So, yeah, Spain and the Philippines share, of course, we all know, a common history, common background. The ties are long-lasting, more than 300 years and counting. And it has been profound and deep in many aspects, not only trade and economics. It's also, well, as Beatriz knows better, cultural relationships and diplomatic, the teaching of the Spanish language, but also other expressions of art sharing, cultural heritage, such as the Day of the Spanish-Filipino Friendship, the Spanish Film Festival Película. There's a lot of engagement on that side. Also in development and cooperation, as has been mentioned already, the Philippines has or is the only priority country for the Development and Cooperation Agency of Spain in Asia. We have a cooperation program lasting for the next 5 years in areas such as gender, governance, peace, human rights, disaster management. But also, of course, in commercial and economic terms, there is a lot going on. The Philippines is one of the main partners of Spain in the ASEAN region. There is, although tides are there, there is still room for improvement. Why is this happening? Why is Spain putting an eye on the Philippines? Well, because of numbers. There is a clear, numbers don't lie. There is a clear reason why the Philippines offers a lot of opportunities. The country has been growing at a very steady pace, more than 5.6% for the average last 20 years, even despite the recent events, backlashes, all geopolitical tensions, and even internal political events in the last months. The growth forecast remains positive. Even from COVID times through the more recent tensions, the Philippines has shown resilience in resisting and coping with tough economic times. So that is why we can still foresee 5 to 6% expected GDP growth by the forecast of the main think tanks, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, International Monetary Fund. They are all pointing into this direction with very good numbers in other terms, low unemployment rates, lowering underemployment, good numbers on inflation that has been well controlled through a good, very steady and appropriate monetary policy, a GDP per capita that is growing and making the country closer and closer to the upper middle income country situation, which would be a very welcome new and hopefully happening soon in the next year or 2 years. With the steady flows of foreign direct investment being received by the country, all this in a framework where the country is becoming more and more integrated into the commercial and trade economic networks worldwide, through the ASEAN, of course, which is actually hosting presidency this year with more than 600 meetings. That's a busy agenda. But also with signing the regional comprehensive economic partnership with the regional countries, and with the negotiation of several free trade agreements, one of them with the European Union, as I will talk a little bit more later. So with these numbers, how is the trade between Spain and the Philippines going? Well, as I said, the Philippines has become one of the most relevant partners for Spain in the ASEAN region. It is the second ASEAN market for Spanish exports. It is, though, the 8th ASEAN market for Spanish imports, so room for improvement there, definitely. The framework of these exchanges in Spain, our trade policy is since many years embedded into the European Union scheme, which means we follow what Brussels agrees, the agreements reached in Brussels. In the case of the Philippines, exchanges are happening under the GSP+, the General Preference System, that the Philippines enjoy together with 8 other countries only. This is a system that provides access with 0 tariffs or very low tariffs to a wide variety of products, including most of the agricultural products, to the European markets under certain conditions, including the Philippines signing agreements in terms of labor regulation, human rights, etc. This agreement has been in place with the Philippines for a number of years. It's lasting until late 2027 at least. And it has allowed for trade to become more intense between not only with Spain but also with the Philippines, with the other European countries. So, what is this trade based on? what products does Spain export to the Philippines? Well, in terms of goods, we talk about a lot of agricultural products, in fact. So meat, basically pork and beef. We are accredited exporters to the Philippines for pork since 2002, for beef since 2020. Very recently, we got also accreditations for lamb and for chicken, although those are new markets, still not too developed. Also, beverages, what is there? Well, brandy, mainly. Pharmaceutical products, machinery. How does it look like on the other direction? What does Spain import from the Philippines? It's very similar. A lot of agricultural products, such as coconut oil, pineapple, canned goods, canned fish, and vegetables, also machinery, and a lot of semiconductors. What we can see in those columns on the right is that what there is a very high concentration. So most of our bilateral trade, almost 80%, 2/3, is concentrated in those 5 names under this graph. So that means a lot of specialization and therefore room for improvement if we want to talk about other areas where we can get more engaged. Why is not happening deeper? What are the challenges to this? Well, I mentioned one of the main parts of trade is in agricultural goods, but in terms of importing more from Spain, we have to deal with the accreditation system. That's a complicated system. It goes without saying, it is, of course, legitimate for any country to establish or to regulate for sanitary, phytosanitary purposes, public health reasons, what comes into the country. But it is also true that for administrative or for other reasons, it can become, and it has become, in the case of the Philippines, a bottleneck. There has to be a long administrative process. There's inspection visits that need to take place. Obviously, a lot of countries are requesting for this, and not everything can happen at the same time. So at the end of the day, yeah, there is a limit, of course, to the speed at which this can happen, and that is a burden. That links to the second challenge, which is technical capacity. Sometimes we deal with this and with the potential for improvement in the ability of the different departments to deal with this, or to deal with requests, or to deal with urgent situations. A third challenge with a very specific name is customs, is how things come in. It is clearly a big red flag or a big bottleneck. The lack of more state-of-the-art technology to deal with customs, the lack of transparency. There is real room for improvement there. For example, including new technologies such as digitalization to deal with the process. We have been working already together with the Asian Development Bank in how to improve ports as the entrance, the first point of the line in this bottleneck, the management of ports, and also the custom system, because it can, at some point, is what we economists call a market failure situation that needs to be addressed. In archipelagic countries like the Philippines or Indonesia, where ports are a prominent, very important part of this food logistics, it's undoubtedly a very crucial point. Just to give an example or some numbers, in Spain, which is not archipelagic country, but we have a lot of coastal areas. Basically, we're just unified to other countries via the Pyrenees to France. So ports are handled. The arrival of a vessel to a port is supervised by a digitalized system, so that there is a lot of pre-advised on the time at which a vessel will arrive to port. That allows for real-time supervision with satellite-based system. What does this make? This make that it creates a situation where once the vessel arrives to the port, because we can't foresee with so much anticipation when this is going to happen, the average time for unloading transaction through customs, loading again, and dispatching those goods to the next destination, average time for that is 5 hours. In the Philippines, the arrival of vessels is mostly notified literally when the vessel is seen in the horizon. That makes this average dispatch time no less than 5 days, and most of the times is longer than that, for sure. Weeks including. So there is an impact on that for the food supply chain, for food logistics, but waiting time has other implications. For example, it creates a gigantic amount of unnecessary emissions, oil that is going to the water, pollution, contamination in the areas that affects not only the quality of the water, but also the quality of life of the local population around the port. So there is a lot that improving this area can bring a lot of benefits, even beyond just the average handle of customs and ports. Talking about not only goods, but also investments, well, here is where, yes, there is a lot of room for improvement. In both directions, actually. We see how investments, bilaterally speaking, has not been significant over the last few years. In the case of the Philippines to Spain, we have 2 main very well-known investors there, Emperador Group, with investments in beverages and brandy, but also in real estate with some of the most emblematic buildings, both in Madrid and Barcelona. Jollibee is also a proud presence of the Philippines in very benchmarking locations in Madrid. And on the other direction, we have companies investing in the Philippines in a wide variety of sectors. Prosegur is security, Sanitas for health, and Calidad Pascualis food is dairy products. What is limiting these investments? What are the challenging points? Well, the legislative framework, for sure. We know that even though it's been improving in the last year since 2022, but the restrictions, especially those sectors where investments are limited to 40% presence of international investors, that creates hesitation, of course. It's a backlash for investments. It makes it less attractive than a free market, for sure. And also the ease of doing business. It's a room for improvement there too. And there's a lot going on there. In the years that I've been here, I have seen how this has been tackled by the administration with the creation or the fostering the presence of institutions like ARTA, digital registration for companies, the 3 steps, 10 minutes process of registration, although I can remember that's what happens when you've been here for so long as I've been. Somewhere 3 years ago, that conversation with a Swiss entrepreneur in the Philippines that was very glad of this new digital registration system for companies because it took him 2 years and 200 signatures to open his business in the Philippines. He was happy because he made it, but of course I can imagine those 2 years were not a piece of cake. So working on it, working developments, it's good to see this happening, it's good to see progress, and it's good to see the realization that the improvement is needed. The first step for it is to be aware that we need to work on that to attract more investments. So those are the points that I would like to highlight as the framework where I can see future and potential engagement for agriculture, but all in all, between Spain and the Philippines. First of all, that bunch of, I already mentioned them, economic reforms. It is true that the system is challenging. It is true that there is still work to be done in terms of ease of doing business, in terms of opening the market to foreign investors. But it is also true that, especially since 2022, a lot has been happening. We have the ease of doing business, the Create and Create More Act, the Retail Trade Liberalization Act, Foreign Investment Act, Public Sector Act. All those legislative developments have allowed a lot of our companies in renewable energies, in infrastructure, transportation, railways, roads, tolls, to come to the Philippines on an open market, no longer 60-40, but now it's absolutely open. And that, of course, brings confidence to the company. It's a better negotiation framework. It's a more stable, it's perceived as a more stable market. And that is, of course, positive for that last part, investments, where we're still lacking better connection. We hope it will improve a lot also with the free trade agreement that the Philippines is negotiating with the European Union. Again, go to the point where Spain as a country is no longer negotiating trade agreements, but we do as a single market. That means there are 27 markets that will open to the Philippines once this agreement is signed. 27 European countries, more than 500 million consumers. That's a lot. Consumers, investments, services, public operations. There is a lot that will be open once this agreement is in place. The negotiations resumed in 2024. They were open 10 years earlier than that and stopped after a brief period of negotiations, but better framework for them allowed for this process to reopen again. And in 1 year and a half, the process has speed up enormously. We are now after the 5th round of negotiations that happened in Brussels the first week of this month. There's 20 tables negotiated for different topics. Out of them, half of those tables have already reached an agreement. Most of the topics regarding trade are agreed. We are, of course, we will move forward at a different pace when it comes to the trickier points, which is, for example, public procurement, trade of services. It's always more complicated to define or to determine how to deal with that in all negotiations. It's not unusual, so we're expecting this to happen. But we're positive, we're optimistic. The Philippine administration is hoping for the agreement to be finalized by this summer. Probably it will take a little bit longer, but it's very likely that by the end of this year, we can have already a text and an agreement that we can work on implementing. So that is very positive news. And as I said, this will create a whole new framework for a new partnership with a very big market. We are also working on the bilateral relation on what we can, what is not covered by the European Union. And here we are negotiating bilateral agreements. We have been working on an agreement for financial and economic cooperation between Spain and the Philippines. This will allow for financing operations in the Philippines with bilateral funding in concessional terms, as long as the Philippines is not reaching yet the upper middle income country status. So that will put on the table a lot of financial instruments, guarantees, direct financing, grants that for sure will put some interest in the companies in looking at the Philippines as a potential destination. So looking forward for this agreement to be signed. Of course, in agriculture, which is what we wanted to put a focus on today, there is a lot that can happen. We have seen how a big chunk of our bilateral trade between Spain and the Philippines happens in agriculture. This is a manifestation, a realization of how despite the distance and the differences, there is not such a big difference in how or the relevance of agriculture for our economies. Spain is a country where agriculture has been developing technologies, we can call it high-level technology, since before the Roman Empire was there. So with some limitations and some challenges that are surprisingly maybe very similar to the ones that you can find in the Philippines. We face flooding situations, we face heavy rain situations, drought conditions. All that has an impact in agriculture and has pushed the development of several technologies that are trying to tackle, to deal with this. So to me, it's difficult to limit or to put on one single picture all the things that I think or I believe that can happen, but I'm going to try to summarize them in these five. So very important in Spain, smart irrigation and water management technology. As I said, we're dealing with floodings, we're dealing with heavy rains, drought conditions in some areas. So we have been developing river basin management for more than 100 years now. We have been implementing digitalization to control water loss, to control water usage, drones to control crops. Those are the technological developments that we're witnessing in Spain recently to help reduce water waste. In the case of the Philippines, for example, in rice and vegetable farms, which is one of the ones we see the most, to improve yields in dry provinces by using that river basin programs, to modernize irrigation infrastructure. Those are some of the improvements of these new technologies applied to water. Greenhouse and protected agriculture. In the case of greenhouse, Spain has one of the largest greenhouse farming areas in Europe, particularly in the south of Spain, in the region of Andalusia and in Almeria. We're able to produce all sorts of crops, tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, strawberries, using climate-controlled greenhouses that allow year-round production. So where can we see this happening here? In urban greenhouse farms near big cities like Manila and Cebu City, for protection against typhoons and against heavy rains, and in short, to provide higher yield vegetable production, higher value-added crops. We put a lot of effort and a lot of technology also in agri-food processing, value-added products, and I missed to include here also the supply chain, the food supply chain. The markets, the network of markets in Spain is one of the most popular and better reputation in Europe. We have this mercas. It's I was trying to find a better translation, but there's none. Mercas, which is something close to market, is our network from Mercasa, which is the central one, to Merca Madrid, Merca Barcelona, and so on and so forth with all the cities. If you can picture the map of Spain, where Madrid is in the center, of the city is probably the place that is more far away from the sea. And yet, Madrid, every morning, 6 a.m. in the morning, has the best fish that can be bought in Spain. And this is thanks to our network of markets that allows for us to distribute the best fish that we caught on the coasts and bring it to the most populated area, the most busy area of the country. This is thanks to this very well technologically connected network of markets that could also be a very interesting deployment in Manila, where you go around, you go to Tagaytay, and you find those amazing, fantastic, tasty pineapples that are so hard to find in Manila somehow at some places. So yeah, it's something that we can see as a useful or a good connection here. Also, opportunities in agricultural training and farm management system. We have farmer training programs for a better crop management, for pest control systems, for development of agribusiness skills, and of course also for a better understanding and usage and deployment of all these new technologies, digitalization, usage of drones that are at the end of the day also relatively new in Spain, and we try to make our farmers more familiar with them to achieve all these improvements. I wouldn't want to finish this part without highlighting, because it's the future ahead, the use of renewable energy for agriculture, applying this new technology to reduce farm costs, to support off-grid agriculture, also to improve that challenge that I was mentioning before, the ports, and how we handle arrivals to the ports and how we handle transitions from ports to other destinations. The Department of Energy here is including, not so far, but in the future GEPs, the future offer of renewable energy. I think it's GEP 8 and 9. It will include some projects with renewable energies to be applied to agriculture, which is, I think, the future ahead, definitely. Some of these things are already happening in between Spain and the Philippines, and I would like to highlight 3 very recent developments. When talking about food logistics, which we have identified as a key point for improvement in the agricultural sector, we have a Spanish company called IDAM. We developed with IDAM, with bilateral funding through Asian Development Bank, a master plan for food logistics. The idea is to export here that concept of our network of markets, of central markets, to create a sustainable, resilient, efficient food system, food market system that can provide or facilitate or ease this farm-to-market process. Their master plan has focused on a number of selected products, those that are more produced in the Philippines and that we find it's more troublesome to bring from the farm to the market, connecting the different infrastructures, and also connecting research done for this and trained workforce. A first development after this technical project or this master plan has started to be developed in the area of Clark, and we hope to see this progressing towards more and more of these central markets where logistics can become more sustainable and resilient. Very recently, we had a delegation from Aclunaga for port development. Aclunaga is an association of ports and ancillary services for ports, port solutions. They can provide services. They are highly interested in the exchange of knowledge with companies and to provide solutions, especially for waste and water management related to the agricultural sector. Very interesting visit also we had from Agritech Murcia. Murcia is in the south of Spain. As I mentioned, we have a lot of challenges also for our agriculture. Most of them are focused in the south of Spain, which is the region where we can find this more frequently, this situation, the floodings, the droughts, the heavy rains, heat, the need of control those river basin management to provide enough water, enough good irrigation systems, greenhouse systems for the part of Spain where most of our food is produced. Agritech visited the Philippines some months ago. It is an organization that puts together both private companies, private sector, and research institutions. So they cover all the fields that we needs to be taken into account for an integral approach to deal with agricultural solutions. As I said, they complement with research, training, university centers looking for optimal application of new technologies to agriculture. So this kind of request, we are witnessing an increase in the number of companies, associations, institutions that put an eye on the Philippines and realize that there is a lot in common and a lot that we have learned sometimes the hard way by experiencing losses and dealing with not so nice situations that we could put on the table and present as solutions for a country that at some point at the end of the day is experiencing very, very similar situations. So we support this engagement. We are happy to have them here. Those three current opportunities are ongoing developments, meaning they're still work in process, and we're still, for some of them, looking for further developments, but it's an open door for how the engagement can look like in the future. So happy to see more of this happening. Thank you so much. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Ms. De La Varga, for that yes, ma'am, please stay there. For that very insightful presentation. It's good to note that Spain considers the Philippines as a focus for international cooperation programs on gender, trade, and socio-economic development, among others. We have also taken note of the challenges in terms of investments and trade between the Philippines and Spain, as well as the emerging opportunities in agriculture, which are quite in sync with our 12th five-year development plan. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, may we now call on our next speaker, Ms. Beatriz Jimeno Ortas, for her presentation. Ma'am Beatriz.
Well, Silvia is more taller than I am. Good morning. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Buenos días. First of all, and before I arrange my stuff, I want to say thank you so much for having us today. It is a pleasure to be here once again. And yeah, it is an opportunity as well for us. So thank you so much. My presentation, what I am going to talk about, is about education, because that's my field. Okay, so I called this presentation Forging the Spanish-Philippine Strategic Alliance. That sounds very good. I thought so. I hope you learned something with me today, as we have learned with Silvia. I always learn when she speaks, you know. I knew that being the second one was going to be a challenge. So that's the life. Okay, so we will have an overview of the Spanish higher education system, because I want you to know what we do in Spain, what we have there. And we will talk about bridging Spain and the Philippines as well. And we will talk about scholarships, because that's the #1 question when we go to fairs, for example, or schools or universities. Everybody asks about scholarships. We don't have many, but we do have some. So graduates from the Philippines can benefit from. And also building the future of higher education together. So let's go. So hello, that's me. If you scan that QR code of maybe Miss Sharon, if you click on the yellow thing, that QR code will lead you straight to my website, to the office. It's not a very nice looking website because it's a ministry done, so it's boring. But here you can see you have, oh, I don't know why it's not even in English. That's okay. So if you could see that in English, yeah? Oh, can you see it in English? Yeah, okay, sorry. So you have my email address if you want to write to me or have any questions about this presentation or any other issues. And also you can see on the left-hand side of the menu, you have all the programs Spanish Ministry of Education is implementing here. Also, if you have doubts about how to get your diploma recognized by Spain, you have all the instructions there. So yeah, just have a look if you are curious or if you are ever planning to go to Spain. So thank you, Sharon. Can we go back to the presentation, please? Okay, so we move on to the next slide. And I thought that maybe it would be interesting for you to have this overview of the Spanish education system. Next, please. And the first thing would be for you maybe to think, okay, where can I go to do my doctoral studies, my master's studies, and why Spain, okay? You could say, why not? But I am going to tell you why you could consider Spain for your higher education. There is an international recognition of the Spanish education system. We are very good in innovation and technology, and Silvia has talked something about that already. Spanish is also a global language, so I think that's an asset we have. Also, we have quite a good quality of life. There are also easy procedures in terms of moving from the Philippines into Spain with a study visa. And also we have quite rich cultural heritage and landscape diversity. Well, landscape and all kinds of diversity. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, regarding innovation and technology, we are global leaders, plus we are accessible partners. By numbers, Spain is number 1st in Europe and 3rd globally in agricultural biotechnology. Because all the things Silvia has explained, we have heavy rains, we have droughts, we have different climates. So we are learning how to manage all that. So our studies are, I would say, top in that areas. Also, we are very good in water management as well. And we are the 5th globally in biochemistry and molecular biology as well, which can be very related to agriculture. Also, okay, we are not a very cheap country, but our fees regarding university are very affordable compared to other countries in Europe, and of course compared to countries like the States. For example, you have this is an average fees for public universities and private universities for bachelor's, master's, and doctoral studies. And you can see that in the public university, you can have a bachelor. This is the price per year, and it is in euros, sorry. So it's not 740 pesos, but 740 euros per year, which is not a lot of money. if you think about how expensive it is to study in France, for example, or Germany. You can have your master's in the public education system from 800 euros per year, and your doctoral studies for as little as 60 euros per year. Of course, in the private sector, it is much more expensive, but still, doctoral studies can be affordable. 1,400 euros per year is not too much. And you can also have some grants as well. Can we go to the next slide, please? Next, please. Oh, sorry. Sorry, can you go backwards? Yeah. Okay, I said that we are international recognized, and that's true. The Spanish universities are ranked among the best in the world in international rankings by subject. Not globally. If you look, for example, Harvard will be globally very good. But if you look for agricultural studies or biotechnology, Spain really ranks very well. We only have, I will say that later, we only have 96 universities. I think that in the Philippines you have more than 2,000. So in our modest 96 universities, 64 are in the ranks. I'm talking about the Shanghai rank, maybe you know it, our QS rank, and the Times rank. And also 8 of our universities are in the top 300. So yeah, we rate quite well. Next, please. And talking about Spanish, Spanish means cultural advantages and strategic global reach. You know, we are second language for many people, and this is the current footprint. Over 500 million native Spanish speakers worldwide, and more than 600 million speakers between native and non-native speakers. So this has been published by Instituto Cervantes Annual Report 2025, so this is quite updated. So we are talking about a huge market and lots of opportunities if you speak Spanish. And the future projection also says that by 2050, there will be more than 750 million speakers of Spanish in the world. So I hope you motivate yourselves and learn a little bit. And there is a strategic pivot here that the US is already the second largest speaking country in the world. As for the moment, we don't know with this current administration what will happen with Spanish, but at the moment it is Mexico, of course, and then it's the States. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with DELE certification. DELE is the official international recognition awarded by Instituto Cervantes. And you can take your exam here in Manila because you know we have Instituto in Manila. So having a DELE is a direct gateway for you to global employability and cross-border mobility. You know, many universities, we will see that later, they offer studies in English, but, you know, we don't speak English in Spain. It's not our official language. And many universities also require a B2 level of Spanish. So the sooner you start studying Spanish, the better. So next, please. So according to the OECD report 2025, we rank above average in Europe in work-life balance. You know, Spanish people work hard. I know many people think we are always having fun and sleeping siestas, but that is actually not true. We work very hard and we hardly have any siestas, only at the weekends. Okay? And most people, of course, work hard 8-9 hours a day, but we still manage to have time for our friends, for our family, to travel a little bit at the weekends. So, yeah, I think that's a nice aspect of living in Spain. Regarding health, we are very good. We have a very, I would say very strong, but we have a quite good public system. And in terms of social connections and also mobility, you know, train systems are very good, buses, so it is easy to move, it is easy to socialize as well. And in terms of safety, if we compare Spain with Europe, it is quite safe to live there. So that's also something to be taken into account if you want to study in Spain or if you want to send your children to Spain. Next, please. Regarding our cultural heritage, I would say that the magic word here is diversity. Spain is so diverse. The north of Spain is green, is wet, is rainy. The gastronomy is based on fish, seafood. If you go to the south, it is, of course, much drier. You have different landscape completely, different gastronomy as well, but all of it is wealth, is richness, and it is very special. As Silvia said, and as you know, we are a peninsula, so there are over 8,000 kilometers of coastline across Mediterranean and Atlantic shores. We're in the top 5 countries in the world in number of UNESCO World Heritage Sites globally. We have more than 50. So you will have a hard time visiting all of them, and all of them are amazing. We have different languages. I know you beat us in that, but I think we have like 3 or 4 languages. We have Galician and Catalan, Euskera and Spanish, but we have different languages, we have different gastronomy, different cuisine, and different traditions, so we'll never get bored there. We are the 4th largest Eurozone economy at the moment. We are one of the European largest countries by population and market size, which is always interesting, and we are one of the world's most visited European countries after France. I think we have almost, maybe Silvia, you know better, almost 100 million visitors per year. I think we are in 90 something last year. Yeah, so a lot of people come to Spain as tourists, so there must be something there. Next, please. And in terms of getting your visa to study in Spain, it is not easy, but it is simplified. You have, especially last year, 2025, we had a new rules for migrating people, for migrants. So at the moment, with with your visa, you have a permit for the full duration of the course, and it can be renewed annually. So if you say, I'm taking my bachelor's, I'm taking my master's, your visa will be going with you. Also, this is very interesting. Many people ask me this. You can work part-time while studying in Spain. Part-time can be up to 30 hours, 3-0 per week. So even if you are not very well off, you can still find a part-time job that helps you, helps you get by while studying. And you can apply, when you finish your studies, you can apply for a 12-month job search residence permit upon graduation. Of course, you have to show to the Spanish government that you can provide for yourself, but you still have those months to look for a job. And you know that being a Filipino, after 2 years of working legally in Spain, you can apply for the residency and nationality, even if you want to. So that's an advantage, because it takes more, I think, at the 10 years for other nationalities. Yeah. Okay, next, please. So yeah, so this means professional integration while studying. You can be also working in Spain. So during your studies, again, you have legal rights to pursue part-time work, no problem with that. Then that means having access to enterprise traineeships as well, especially if you're studying some vocational training studies programs, and real-world workforce integration alongside academic learning. So you are training yourself, learning things, and at the same time, you're putting that into practice. And post-graduation, you have, as I said before, established legal pathways to transition to work visas. You have that period of time in which you can search and try to find a job. Opportunities to remain in the European professional sector, and that's a high-value career launchpad. Next, please. Well, that's our modest offer. We have 96 universities, 50 public, 46 private, almost 2 million students, almost 150,000 international students, and top Erasmus destination. I mean, every student in Europe wants to go to Spain for his or her Erasmus. Maybe because what I said before about work and life balance and going for a drink after studying. So yeah, we are at the top in the Erasmus programs. Next, please. This is our structure of Spanish higher education. It's the classic one, and I think it's the same as yours. We have the bachelor's degree, we call it grado. We have master's degree, we call it the same, master, and PhD or doctorado, doctoral studies. To go into university, you need to go through a platform called UNED Assist, but some universities actually allow you to go to access only by doing the homologación, the recognition of your high school diploma. And of course, in private universities and for master's studies, there is no problem with access at all. Next, please. Again, we follow with this structure of degrees. The bachelor takes 3 or 4 years in Spain, the master 1 or 2 years, and the doctoral studies 3+. I think it's the same here in the Philippines, or very similar, right? Because we are all following the Bologna process. We also have the European Credit Transfer System, or ECTS. That means that we work with credits. 1 credit equals 25, 30 hours of work. We have 60 credits 1 academic year. And Spain belongs to the European higher education area, which englobes or includes 49 countries, and we all work with credits, with these transfers credits. So it means that if I have 60 credits, I think, oh, I want to go to France now, and I go to France, I say, I have 60 credits already, and they will recognize them. So that means having an enormous space where you can develop yourself as a student. Next, please. And this is our academic offer. More than 3,000 bachelor's degrees, almost 100 joint bachelor degrees, almost 4,000 master's degrees, 123 joint master degrees, and over 1,000 PhD programs. We also have English taught programs, which I think they are very useful if you're not very familiar still or confident with the language. You can start with these bachelor's of masters fully or partially offered in English. 80 bachelors, 100% in English, and then 164 offered 50% in English, 283, 30% in English. Usually you start with a fully offered program in English, and as long as you are proceeding to your studies, you have more Spanish and less English. Okay. Also in masters, you see the figures there, 322 fully offered in English, 400, 50% English, and 508, 30% in English. That's something to be taken into account as well. Next, please. Okay. So how can you start? Where do you start if you are planning to go to Spain? You have to do your homework. Spain implemented this platform like, I think 2 years ago, which is called Kedu, and you can download Kedu on your mobile phones, and you will see how powerful and how informative it is. Kedu stands for qué estudiar y dónde estudiar, is what to study, where to study. Sharon, if you could try and click in the queue, probably, let's see if it works, if the link works. Is it working or maybe not working? Okay. Anyway, if it doesn't work, as I said before, this is a search engine. You just have to say what you want to study. If you want a bachelor's, a master's, or a doctoral program, if it is offered in English, where you want to take it, in which part of Spain, if you want a private university, a public university, and it gives you all the results. It can even tell you how much the fees are, or if the syllabus, the curriculum, the requirements. Oh, it's coming? Yeah. Maybe you can make that bigger. Yeah. Oh, thank you. So let's try something. If you click, for example, I don't know, degree, you want to say, or maybe master's. If you want to click on master's, and if you write agriculture, yeah, it says mínimo 3 caracteres here. If you write agriculture there, we will see what it brings us. I'm not sure. Well, I do know because I tried at home, but yeah. So you scroll down a bit. Yeah, perfect. Now, if you scroll down a bit, oh, sorry, no, up a bit. Yeah. Look for, or maybe in scope of study areas, maybe you have to here. Yeah, there, just click there, and you click on Agricultura y Veterinaria. Go down, there. Yeah, okay. Agricultura, Ganadería y Pesca, probably, yeah. You check that, perfect. And now you go down and look for, and we will see what we have. Okay, right. So you see, it shows you what you can take. Madrid, Andalucía, Catalonia. You also know if the university or the program is public or private. And if you have the average mark required to get into the degree. And if you were down, you could also have doctoral studies as well. And if you clicked on each of these results, it will lead you straight to the university. And that is very important, and I will like you to remember this, because I will say that later, but each university in Spain is autonomous in terms of scholarships, grants, helps. So the way to navigate this is to select like 3, 4, 5 universities which offer studies of your interest and contact them directly and say, here, hello, I am a Filipino international student. I want to take my doctoral studies there. Do you have any scholarships, help, any conditions, requirements, etc.? So you deal directly with each university. But remember KEDU because it is an amazing tool for you, okay? So thank you. Can we go back to the presentation, please? Thank you. And we go next. So next, please. Okay, so we're bridging Spain and the Philippines, not only in trade, but also in education. Next, please. And what is the magic word for this bridge? And it is, I have to say, Erasmus+. Okay, the European Commission established the Erasmus+ program nearly 40 years ago. And since then, millions of people joined Erasmus+ mobility activities and cooperation projects. And I have to say that Spain might not be very strong in funding, but Erasmus is unbeatable. And Spain is very active in Erasmus programs. Next, please. Erasmus Plus has a global scope, as you know. It transcends Europe. So Filipino institutions of higher education are welcomed to establish partnerships with Spanish counterparts. And both Filipino students and staff of institutions can benefit from Erasmus Plus mobilities and cooperation projects. Next one, please. This is from the program 2022-2025, but this has changed a little bit, I will tell you now, but you can see that there are lots of Spanish universities involved with Filipino universities, and many of them are very prestigious. Católica de Valencia, Loyola Andalucía, Autónoma de Madrid, very powerful. Carlos III de Madrid, also public, very powerful. Complutense, Alicante, Córdoba, Granada, Huelva, Málaga, Murcia, Valladolid, Pompeu Fabra, Pontificia de Salamanca. So these are all very prestigious, high-level universities, and they are all involved in Erasmus Plus programs with Filipino universities. On the Filipino side, we have Ateneo de Manila University, Benguet State, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Asia Pacific Foundation, San Agustin, Santo Tomas, UP Diliman, of course, and University of the Philippines system. At the moment, we also have Xavier University, Ateneo de Cagayan, very active as well in Erasmus programs. So we hope to see more, especially on the Filipino side, but it's quite good. I mean, the scenario at the moment is positive. So next, please. I'm not an expert in Erasmus, but this is what you can get, okay? Cooperation opportunities, learning mobilities for individuals. Also, there are mobilities for institutions, but for individuals, you see that students can go on Erasmus for studies and also for traineeships from 5 to 30 days or from 2 to 12 months. From at higher education institutions and also at organizations or enterprises, companies. And also for staff, mobilities for staff for teaching, they can go to Spain, they can come to the Philippines for teaching, and also for training themselves, yeah, also at higher education institutions and at organizations. That's the program called KA 131, yeah. And as you can see, Erasmus covers travel costs, individual support, organizational support, support for inclusion in case of people with fewer opportunities. And this covers all educational levels, all educational areas, and in both directions, okay, incoming and outcoming. Next, please. So the next step, the next step to be taken would be knowing that this is a long-term commitment. It takes time and effort to engage into an Erasmus program, but it is definitely worth it. You can join as a partner with, in a project coordinated by a Spanish higher education institution. And you have to make sure that your institution or your university has the quality requirements. There's something called the Carta Eche or Letter Eche. I don't know if you know about it. And then you will start working into this interinstitutional agreement. Next, please. So, as the deadlines are also finished, because they always finished in February, and we are in March already, in terms of developing your strategy for 2026, this is like what you have to take into account. Yeah, in February, there are the deadlines, usually. July and August, the results of the projects which have been approved or denied, etc. And in September, October, new projects start. And in November, there is the call for proposals. From November to February, you can start dealing with your application. Okay, so I think that because we are in March already, the thing to do for SEARCA or for any university or individual will be to start really planning and do your homework and think, where can I engage? Can I join this project? I think that the most important thing is to start small, yeah, not to be very ambitious, maybe to join a project which is already ongoing, but which still accepts new partners. So you can start learning, yeah? But definitely as I said before, it takes some effort and some planning, but it is not, I mean, it's something that can be achieved. Next, please. So research and planning are key, so you can be ready when the call for Erasmus Plus opens again in November, remember. Next, please. And I encourage to get in touch with the focal persons, the focal contact. You have one in the Philippines. There is one Erasmus focal person in each country. So I think this can be very helpful. On our side, it is the Spanish Service for the Internationalization of Education. We call it SEPIE because this is such a long name. And that's the email address there. I know they are always willing to answer to questions. And also in the Philippines, you have the Director of International Office, Ms. Christine Nabor Ferrer. She is the focal person for Erasmus Plus programs in the Philippines. That's her email address. The H, of course, goes after the B. So I think you can always ask and tell my university or I myself, my institution, my company, this enterprise, we want to join an Erasmus Plus program. Can you help us do it? Can you guide us? Can you orientate us? Do you have more information? So yeah, don't be shy and ask for help. Also, because you have seen all the universities in the Philippines which are already engaged in an Erasmus Plus program, you could ask them, listen, how did you do that? Yeah, can you help me also navigate all this? Because sometimes the bureaucracy can be a bit confusing, but as you have people that have gone before your path, you can ask them, no problem with that. And next, please. So let's talk about some scholarships that maybe you could get. There are, as I said, I'll see. Let's see if we could click. I don't know if it will work, but you can also scan the QR code. When you, oh yeah, that's the SEPIE website. Can you make it bigger, maximize that, please? Good. Thank you. Can you scroll down, 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 down? More, 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 more. And can you click here? No, no. Yeah, if you could click there, there is also another powerful search engine. You see, you can, on the right-hand side, you see estudiantes españoles, residentes comunitarios, or internacionales. Of course, you could click there, internacionales, a bit up, on the right, up, up, up. If you click there, very good. Now, the studies you're looking for, you have grado, prácticas, master, doctoral, just click anything. You may be masters. Okay. And país de destino, you click on Spain. Yeah. Okay. So you have 10, if you scroll down now, you see scholarships that are available. ICAT Business School, Banco Santander, CESTE, for españoles or internacionales, postgrado, masters. You have also the link to study all of them carefully, and the destination would be España. So you have not many, but you have lots of things to research as well and try to find some help, because we all know that moving to Spain to study is not cheap. So that's also, I wanted to show you this because it is interesting to do some exploration about what's like to get a scholarship. Okay, thank you. Can we go back now to the presentation? So remember KEDU and remember this link. They are both very powerful. Thank you. Let's move on. So Spanish universities, as I said before, are autonomous to decide their own policy on scholarships and grants. So remember, you schedule, select 5, 6, as many as you want, and get in touch with them. Because maybe, if you say you're an international student, you're from the Philippines, etc., maybe they can help you and give you some other scholarships that are not listed in the list we have just seen. Next, please. Also, we have these scholarships we call MIC. MIC is our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. ICIT, which is the Spanish Agency for Cooperation and Development. And they, every year, not this year, but we are still waiting for this call, they have something called becas or scholarships, specifically for different countries, but also specifically for the Philippines. And they are very good. Can we move to the next one? They are for Filipino civil servants. Yeah, so you have to be a civil servant. They are always to take master's studies in Spain. Until recently, there were aimed to master's studies related to Spanish and Spanish training, but not anymore. This means that if you are a civil servant, for example, in DFA, and you want to take a master's in Spanish related to your field, you can have these scholarships, which are very well paid, by the way. But knowledge of Spanish is needed, of course. So again, remember Instituto Cervantes Manila, you can go and enroll and start learning Spanish, because it is really sad for us that every year there are some scholarships for Filipinos which are not given. And they are not given simply because the applicant didn't have the level of Spanish. You have to be able at least to understand a bit of reading Spanish, or to communicate a little bit, yeah? And the call for this year has not been published yet, so we are on the lookout for that. We are waiting for that. As soon as they are published, I will get in touch with SEARCA, so they can know, they can inform you as well that this possibility is open for you. Next, please. Also, by chance, we were talking to someone from Universidad de Nebrija, and we said we were going to have this event, and we are always talking about studying in Spain and blah, blah. And the lady said, oh, so we can have some scholarships for the South Pacific area if you are going to talk to SEARCA, of course, CIMIA as well. So as you can see, they are offering 20% discount or scholarship for tuition in bachelor's programs and 30% scholarship for official master's program. This is available to all nationalities residing in Thailand, the Philippines, Malaysia, and Vietnam. And the application is open now. They just told us last week, and the deadline will be July the 1st. Next, please. And this is the list of things they are offering with these scholarships, but I put a red arrow pointing at sustainability and circular economy master, because I think that's the only one or the best one for your field, yeah? And if you want more information, you have the contact now there, chet10nebrija.es. She's the responsible person, the focal person for Asia Pacific. But still, this is something that can be considered, because 30% is quite a lot. So it's a good opportunity for this area. Next, please. Also, of course, probably you know the Erasmus Mundus joint masters. They are very prestigious EU-funded masters. You have integrated study programs designed by international partnerships, high academic quality. Usually it says at least 2 European countries, but actually it's, in most cases it's 3 European countries. So if you have one Erasmus Mundus scholarships, you know that you will be studying in Madrid, in Paris, in Rome, wherever. So in 3 different universities, and still you will have that. Imagine how much you can learn in that scenario, yeah? So it's an award of a joint or multiple degree, and it's a huge cultural immersion, of course. And it's full scholarships. It covers tuition, travel, and living costs. It is open to students worldwide, but there is a but. It is a very competitive application process, of course, because many people want to have an Erasmus Mundus scholarship. Next, please. But you're doing very well, Filipinos. Congratulations. In last year, there were 53 Filipinos awarded the Erasmus Mundus scholarships, which is quite a good number. And applications typically open between October and January. So if you're thinking about this possibility, I suggest that you start also investigating, researching. There are so many masters to apply, so very attractive, all of them. Next, please. I included in this QR the Erasmus Mundus Joint Masters Catalog. Maybe we will be too long if we went into that, but if you can move to the next slide. I was doing some research. I found this example, which is an Erasmus Mundus scholarship it's a master in rural development. If you could click in those letters. Also, of course, you can scan it. It's just to show you what it looks like. So if you scroll down a little bit, you see that the host countries are Belgium, Spain, France, Italy, Slovakia. Yeah, it starts in September this year. And it's Universidad de Córdoba is involved here. You know, in the last November, we had the European Higher Education Fair. Probably you are familiar with that. And Universidad de Córdoba was present. And they were telling me how good this master is. So this is just for information. It is a sample. There are many masters like this in the catalog. So again, if this is in your future strategy, in your line, just try to do some research because it's so interesting. Yeah, we can go back to the presentation. And we move forward. Next. So, building the future of higher education together. Next, please. This is the story of my relationship with SEARCA. So I came here first in 2023 with the former director. And this is when I knew what SEARCA was, because honestly, I didn't know. My boss told me, you have to go there, and I came here. So I remember I was informed of what the amazing things that SEARCA was doing, and the little things Spain was doing to cooperate, and the few things. And I was so upset and embarrassed. So I thought, oh, no, this has to change. So next, please. So that year, I just put in contacting SEARCA with FP Empresa, which is the biggest association of vocational and training studies in Spain. They have like more than 200 vocational training schools, private, public, so it is huge. You know that vocational training also has got agricultural studies fields related to that. So that was 2023. In 2024, there is a MO was signed. So at least you have the legal framework to cooperate further. And I didn't tell you this, but of course, maybe you know, Erasmus Plus programs also cover vocational training studies. So by having this legal framework, you can already engage with FP and PERSA for, I don't know, mobility of teachers in both directions, and mobility of students, of course. Next one, please. In 2025, I connected SEARCA with the Polytechnic University of Madrid, which is one of the best universities for engineering. I mean, it is very prestigious. It is really in the top. So UPM, as far as I know, You are in the process of signing MOU now, and I think that will be so beneficial for both sides. UPM is very active in Erasmus programs as well, so I think that having them as a coordinator of a project will definitely be very, very positive. Next one, please. Also, last year, 2025, we organized a networking seminar, also with Silvia's people, with Spanish and Filipino universities in University of Santo Tomas in Manila, and also with some Spanish companies. If you remember IDOM, Silvia has talked about them. We had one IDOM representative. He was telling us a lot about what we were doing, what they were doing in the Philippines. Also exploring the possibilities for having trainees in Spain, Filipino trainees, and also bringing Spanish people here. So this networking, SEARCA came, and it was focused, as I said before, on establishing links via Erasmus+. Universidad de Jaén was there, which is very good with agriculture. You know, Jaén in the south of Spain has got millions of acres of olive trees. All the Spanish oil comes from there. So Jaén is very good in agricultural studies. La Laguna, Canary Islands, also very good. Politécnica de Madrid, UPM was there as well. Pompeu Fabra, Barcelona, very prestigious, top 10 in Spanish universities, and also Politécnica de Catalunya. So in the company sides, we had Acciona, maybe you know Acciona, Indra, and IDOM. And these companies were eager not only to employ Filipino engineers, but also to have traineeships with them, and to engage in Erasmus Plus programs with them. Next, please. Also, I connected SEARCA with an Erasmus Plus project, which was starting in 2025, called GECO, which is related to sustainability, renewable energies, training engineers in soft skills. But because the program had been closed already, even though it hadn't started yet, maybe SEARCA said, well, we cannot enter here. But it is an example that if you do your research with time, you can enter many Erasmus Plus programs. In fact, Xavier University is there, UP System is there, Technological Institute of the Philippines is there. So yeah, there is room for people. Yeah. Also, I put in touch SEARCA with the Spanish commercial office, with a company called Freya, devoted to renewable energies. Yeah, and also with the EU delegation. So I think that my place here it is like facilitating all those contacts. So yeah, you can start from there and start developing your own strategy and connections. Next, please. So now is a great moment for SEARCA to explore and make the most of collaboration of opportunities with Spanish universities and businesses in order to strengthen partnerships and implement or increase the impact. And I wanted to say that rest assured that from our side, from the Education Office of the Spanish Embassy, we will always try to do our best to support any initiatives that promote collaboration between SEARCA and Spanish universities and businesses in order to create meaningful opportunities for all the parties involved. So yeah, that's why I am here today. That's why I am in the Philippines. So that's my position. So next, please. That's all from me. I hope you learned something. So thank you very much for having me today.
Thank you very much. Ma'am Beatriz, you may take your seat on stage. Thank you for informing us and sharing with us the higher education system in Spain and how Southeast Asian nationals can tap into it. We also took note of the Erasmus Plus program, as well as other scholarship programs, the numerous programs that provide cooperation and learning opportunities for faculty and students of higher education institutions. So let me join you on that. Or queries for our speakers, kindly use the microphone on the aisle. Okay, I think they pretty much understood both of your presentations. But you know, we curated a set of questions from our attendees who have submitted their registration through the online platform that we have. So please allow me to go through a few of them. So for Ms. De La Varga, how do you view the Philippines' role as a hub for Spanish agribusiness expansion into the wider ASEAN region?
Thank you. So, thanks. So I mentioned how the Philippines is one of the most relevant partners in the ASEAN region for Spain, especially like second market in the ASEAN region. Even, I mean, we are obviously, for historical and probably language reasons, having a different perspective or higher or stronger ties with Latin America and than we have in Asia in general. Asia is still perceived as a faraway region, complicated to reach. But I think we should take advantage of those historical ties. This is our partner in the region, our most logical and natural partner in the region. And I feel like in two dimensions or in two directions, the partnership can be strengthened. One is as a complementary trade partner. So we looked at those numbers on trade, and we see the high concentration in a few types of products. So Spain can benefit profusely in trading with the Philippines on those products that are very specialized here in the Philippines, very high quality, and that can not be found or cannot be sourced somewhere else. And I'm talking about all the agricultural production in coconut, cacao, mango, fisheries also, from fishing to algae, and what can that extends beyond agriculture or food, properly spoken, but also to cosmetics, for example. And on the other direction, we can export that technology, that greenhouse expertise, the knowledge on irrigation and how to cope with complicated situations. So I feel like it could be not only on the exchange of goods as such, but also on the exchange of knowledge. And then the other big ticket here is the vision that I think it's growing of and should be growing of the Philippines as a hub for international trade. I mean, we're talking about an archipelagic country with a lot of potential to be or to establish as a hub for trade. Singapore is there. It's a traditional port or the logistics hub in the region. It is probably highly collapsed. Some problems are already arising in terms of higher and higher costs. And the Philippines offers a natural environment to provide this solution for the region with a lot of coastal areas with the potential to build bigger dimension and better structured ports that could serve to international trade. So I think we can also complement and work together on that.
Thank you very much. Noted on the Philippines' role as a hub for Spanish agribusiness expansion into the region. And yes, we do have a lot to offer, not only to Spain, but also to the world. We have our natural resources, but most especially, we have our human resources. So the next two questions are for you, Ma'am Beatriz. First, do you have scholarship programs or joint research grants for early Filipino career scientists specializing in climate-smart agriculture and agri-biotechnology? Please respond to that first.
Well, that's a very specific question. I thank the person who asked it. But as I said before, as I explained, surely there will be some grants or scholarships or help for students and researchers, because I know for sure that there are researchers already in Spain from the Philippines, and they are very well considered, by the way. But I think that's something to explore by each person. So as I said before, just go through KEDU and start looking for the places that interest you most. So, and get in touch and offer yourself, yeah? Also, maybe you could offer yourself as a teacher as well, yeah? Because sometimes they take on people from overseas. So I think, yeah, it's something I'm sure that person can find the way if he or she explores well and gets in touch with each university. So, yeah, that's it.
I think, ma'am, this is not really specifically for a graduate degree, but the person is asking if you have any program that is in line with fisheries-based capacity development initiatives, probably training.
I don't know. Probably because I don't know everything that is offered in Spain, but I am sure there will be something there. Yes. Yeah.
So not a university as such, but Port of Vigo is part of FAO Green and Blue Ports Development. And as part of that network with the United Nations, they offer trainings, and yeah, that could be a starting point, yeah.
Thank you very much. Are there other questions from our attendees? Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ma'am Beatriz, you mentioned earlier in one of your slides the tuition rates in universities in Spain. And we noted that the tuition rates for PhD programs are considerably low, lower definitely than the master's or the bachelor's. And we were thinking that in our graduate scholarship program, the amount approved by our governing board as for tuition could very well handle that amount. But I am afraid about the cost of living in Spain, for which the amount approved by our governing board may not be sufficient. And so, well, I looked into the internet and found the cost of living, but it says roughly around 1,100 euros per month, because I was wondering whether the amount that we could save from tuition could cover the insufficiency for the living cost. But it says that is, well, that depends upon where in Spain you're going to be. So the PhDs, for example, in Spain, the PhDs in areas related to agriculture, I doubt whether there's going to be in Madrid or Barcelona. But so the 1,100 euros, is that going to be sufficient?
Well, I think we could both answer that question. I think that of course, it depends on where you are in Spain. If you go to Almeria, which is huge for agriculture, as Silvia said, and in fact, Almeria University was leading an Erasmus Plus project, very powerful, with a lot of money, but unfortunately that closed already. But Almeria is huge, and it is one of the cheapest provinces in Spain. Having said that, 1,100 will be roughly enough to survive in places like Madrid and Barcelona. Of course, Filipino people who go there usually share their flats. You cannot rent a flat with that money and leave. But if you share your flat, if you work part-time, then yeah, maybe you could survive. But it is true that Spain is not a cheap country, especially Madrid or Barcelona, but in many other places, Canary Islands, as I said, it is also very good for agricultural studies, or Jaén, and they are very cheap. I think 1,100 will be enough to go by, but I don't know, what do you think?
I'm a little out of shape in terms of, because I studied, unfortunately, a long time ago at the university. My
She's
years
lying.
in college is so far away. But I would recall, I could say, if a student is getting 1,100 as a scholarship, is luckier than our poor Erasmus students going to Europe, because the Erasmus program inside of Europe is also really not enough. You get the opportunity to go and study in another European university, and you're given a scholarship that is by no means enough to support yourself, especially coming from Spain to more expensive countries like Germany or France or the UK. It's never enough. So I can feel the pain. I can see the question in there. I can only, what Bea was saying, for Madrid, Barcelona, it's very complicated with that amount. For places in south of Spain or in the north where I'm from, it is enough. Definitely could be enough. But again, that's I think what I learned today here also through Beatriz, why you are allowed to a part-time job, because that's probably going to be needed.
Yeah, but also I should say that that's, I think that 1,200 is the minimum salary nowadays in
Yes,
Spain. So there are
exactly,
many
yeah.
people in Spain surviving with that money.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, and also you can work part-time, as I said before. To give you an idea, we have this program which is called Language Assistance Program, and with that program, almost 150 Filipinos, sometimes 300 Filipinos have gone to Spain to help teachers there teach English. And the stipend they are given is roughly, well, it's 1,000 euros in Madrid and Valencia, and it's 900 in other places. And they can all survive, and they're very happy there, because they always find, you're very clever with that, they always find private tuition, so they have lots of students, because they are very good, usually, so they, and the students love them. So they always find lessons, private lessons, and they can manage, actually. It's not ideal, of course, but yeah. And Erasmus Mundus, for example, it implies a lot of money. The ISIT scholarships I was talking about is 2,000 euros per month. So that's very, very good. But remember, you have to know some Spanish, yeah, and to be a civil servant.
So, ma'am.
Thank you very much. So that's something that we could probably consider, no? Yeah, with respect to the Erasmus programs, my director told me to ask something. Okay, well, SEARCA actually participates, in fact, submits proposals, but not to the Key Action 1, which is what the mobility of students is about, no?
Yeah.
We have always participated in Key Action 2 on cooperations with other institutions. Yeah. And so far, we have not had any Spanish university as collaborator. We've had quite a number in France, the Montpellier Subagro Montpellier groups. In Germany, of course, Göttingen and Hohenheim are close partners of SEARCA. With Prague, for example, the ZZU, but we've not had any collaboration with a Spanish university. You mentioned that Spain is #1 in Europe in terms of agricultural biotechnology, so that is something perhaps, yes, the Chancellor was saying yes, that we could collaborate on, because UPLB is also part of our consortium and is always part of the Erasmus Plus proposals that we submit. So perhaps later on we could confer with you on this. But Chancellor, Beatriz was mentioning about FP Empresa. Remember that? Because we linked FP Empresa with the University of the Philippines Rural High School. Remember, Beatriz, you mentioned that they have like an approved project. They were supposed to come here and to spend some time where there are TVET courses in agriculture, well, because it is SEARCA, in agriculture-related courses. And so perhaps the Chancellor could tell us some, I do not know, some ideas or concerns about this because it did not materialize, no? Yeah.
Good morning. I specifically and intentionally came here and attend here to join you today and express our support to our academic and trade diplomatic relation. Yes, we will be pursuing the Impresa collaboration that was initiated 3 years ago. We will be talking to the principal of UP Rural High School to make that happen. My other proposal is this, and I hope SEARCA, Dr. Silvia, can agree with me, because you are proposing now a funding windows that will be coming or initiated by the Spanish government through the embassy. But this time, I'm proposing the other way around. That is, the Philippine government to invest on the PhDs, degrees of Filipinos, especially those from universities, especially from this university, UPLB, to get their PhDs in the best agricultural universities in Spain. And you mentioned many of them, especially on agricultural biotechnology and related the frontiers in agriculture, on agriculture. So, because we have successfully sealed funding where the Department of Science and Technology, the DOST, through PICARD, establishing the I-grade program, meaning that it's the Philippine government who will be funding the PhD program of Filipinos. So first, let's identify that university in Spain where Philippine government through the Department of Science and Technology can be funding Filipinos to study in Spain on agriculture and related. The very unique feature of this scholarship, the I-grade program, it's a long acronym, but the I-grade program is, the main feature of this is after the student graduates, is given 10 million pesos to continue with the research. A re-entry we call it a re-entry fund for the student to continue the research that he or she has started with a professor, for example, in Spain. So we have done this. First, let's identify the university in Spain. Then, best if we can have a dual PhD program where UPLB and Spanish University can grant a dual degree to a certain student funded by the Philippine Government Department of Science and Technology. So we have experience on offering a dual PhD where UPLB and a foreign university grants 2 degrees to a certain individual, especially our faculty members. We have experience with University of Reading. We have sealed partnership with Montpellier with the assistance of support of SEARCA, the dual PhD. And now we are arranging a dual PhD program with Nagoya University in Japan, in Kyoto University also in Japan, and hopefully the first one to be arranged or coordinated through you, through an agricultural university in Spain. Let's have it. Let's have a meeting together to detail this partnership. Thank you.
Well, that's great news, sir. of course, I will do my best to assist you and help you. And I think that regarding joint degrees or PhDs, that's something that can be negotiated, of course. As you know, you have the experience, it's just getting in touch with the right counterpart. And for example, in November, in the networking I mentioned in Santo Tomás, SEARCA was there, Universidad de Jaén, I talked to the representative later on, and she said, I want the Philippines to be with us. So not for this year, 2025, because of course there wasn't any time, but I know she's determined, for example, to have the Philippines embarked. They are very good in agriculture. So that's very good news, sir. So thank you so much for letting me know. And yeah, we will talk about this. We will try to find and pinpoint the best universities for that. And that will be great. Thank you.
Thank you. In the interest of time, we will have the last question from the gentleman at the back.
Good morning. I'm June Correa from the International Rice Research Institute. It's interesting to note that Filipinos would rather study in US and Japan rather than Spain. Those three countries are kindly intertwined with our history, right? Maybe because of, Filipinos are afraid of Padre Damaso or something. But kidding aside, my question is just very simple. You mentioned about Spanish being in a required, it's a requirement in order to study in Spain, right? But can you give us more information on that? How long does a Spanish course would take in your institute? You mentioned an institute in Manila. How long does it take for one to graduate from that language course, and how much would it cost if one were to enroll in that program?
Well, if you are meant to get a B2 level, that will take like more than a year, I think. And I don't know how much that will be, to be honest, but you should go to their website, probably. But there are universities which also offer a bridge year, like you can go there first and train intensively your Spanish in order to start your studies later on. I'm thinking about Carlos III de Madrid or Navarra, very popular also in the Philippines. Universidad Autónoma de Madrid, they all offered for international students these opportunities, so you can command the language, or roughly command the language when you start your program. Yeah, and also, as I said, there are many English taught programs, so maybe it would be good to start from there and to start looking for that, because of course it's quicker, to reach that level. Yeah. But you're very good with languages.
Yeah,
no problems.
So that's actually, the problem is on the other direction. We are not good with languages in Spain. That's probably one of the reasons why there's more people going to the US or to other places in Europe like Germany or the UK, because to go to Spain, Spanish is pretty much a need. It's very difficult to manage your life, and not only in academic terms, also in like personal life, if you don't have a basic of knowledge of Spanish. So I think Cervantes is suffering. It depends on how much time you can invest on it, because Cervantes has a wide variety of options: online, presential, weekends, weekdays, 4 times per week, 2 times per week. So it will take more or less time depending on how much time you can invest. If you go for a 4 days a week program, those last for 6 weeks, and you can get already an A1.1, I think, in 6 weeks, and so on and so forth. So it depends. It's going to depend on how much time, and then the cost is also going to depend on how much hours, how many hours per program you do. But not less than 1 year. I agree, though, that other than it being a requirement per se of a program, at some point, the best way to learn a language is just the immersion So if it's not a requirement and you just land in Spain and you go to the supermarket or to the drugstore and nobody's understanding you in English, your Spanish is going to come up quicker than sitting in a classroom in Instituto Cervantes, for sure.
And also allow me to just step in again. Instituto Cervantes has also has like tailor-made programs. So if you have like a group of 12 people, they can get you into an intensive course or a crash course of Spanish as well. So that's another option. Yeah. So if you have a group of students who want to go to Spain, they can just talk to them and they can prepare the special course for you in order to be quicker. Yeah.
Thank you very much, ma'am. That was a very engaging discussion. Mercy.
This is not actually a question, but something that I would like to, inform you about, because I was fortunate, when I was in the Department of Agriculture, I was fortunate to be part of a visit, to learn about the agri-insurance in your country. It's a public-private, and it's very successful. And it's being managed by an Agroseguro. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that, it's an agri-insurance that caters to, a little bit higher than the small farmers. But that was a start for us, to do the reforms, the initiatives that we are now doing with regards to Philippine insurance. And I'm sure that what you are mentioning about the market linkages, I hope that that could also be something that, we could really sort of, study and implement more efficiently and effectively here in the Philippines. I also noticed the very huge trade imbalance between, the imports and exports, even with the agriculture sector. And just to inform you that we're doing now at SEARCA a study on the organic agriculture, primarily on the certification of this. And the reason I'm telling you is we'll probably need your help to reach out to, some of the, retailers or the traders or the importers of this organic agriculture product that we could interview to learn more on, what are the challenges that the Philippine, I know certification is one, but, talking with your importers probably would help us, come out, some of the more specific reasons how we could really, and expand our trade with regards to organic agriculture. EU is a very good market, and the market of this is really increasing. So it would be a good opportunity for the Philippines to really take advantage of that. Thank you. And thank you very much for really coming here. We really, are grateful for your talks. I think it's very, very informational. We hope that, more students were here, but unfortunately, it was suspended because of these strikes and all these things. But definitely, whatever, information we got, that will really, ripple, to other students. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks to you. Thank you, ma'am.
So at this point, may we call on our director and deputy director to the stage for the awarding of the Certificate of Appreciation and Token of Gratitude. So allow me to read the citation. On the certificate, the Southeast Asian Regional Center for Graduate Study and Research in Agriculture awards this Certificate of Appreciation to, in grateful recognition of her invaluable contribution as guest speaker during the Meet the Diplomat series held on 19 March 2026 at SEARCA. Signed, Dr. Mercedita Sumbilla, SEARCA Center Director. For Ms. Silvia Torices de la Varga. Oh, we also have our Chancellor here. Silvia, for Ma'am Silvia. You. Then, for Ms. Beatriz, Jimeno, Ortas. We would also like to give the tokens, the broth monument for the embassy, and tokens from SEARCA and UPLB. Those represent the 11 senior member countries. Yeah, that's all. Can we give the tokens from both UPLB and SEARCA? Again, thank you very much to our two honorable guest speakers. So, to commemorate this event, may we request all participants to join us for a group photo. Our ushers will guide you for the proper arrangement and kindly return to your seats after the group photo. We go down. Everyone goes down, or they stay here. Everyone goes down. Okay.